What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Buzz Lightyear. I'm joined by the one and only
Cash Money, baby.
And today, my brothers and sisters, we got the fellow brother, Lord to all the African Americans like you and I, Dr. Umar Johnson. Thank you. Now, we've already done a video with Dr. Umar before. Y'all need to go check that one out. It's probably going to be somewhere around here. He went on one of the greatest morning TV shows, The Breakfast Club. And he didn't get no breakfast. But I'm pretty sure he's dropping super hot knowledge.
Super hot fire.
Super hot fire. Let's get into that.
Let's get into it.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Just Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
He's back.
He's back. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome, brother.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Good to see you brothers again.
Peace, King. How are you feeling today?
I'm all right.
You see, we got you on the wall over there, brother. You ain't even
see it. You don't even see yourself right there.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes.
Oh, man. Good looking out.
You on the wall. You on the wall.
Good looking out. All right.
How does Dr. Umar feel about being the black boogeyman for interracial relationships?
It's good and it's bad.
Okay.
The good side is I hear from a lot of brothers who have gave up the bunny hopping. They send me messages, inbox. They stop me at the airport. So I do see the positive effect. You know, brother, I'm with a queen now. I see the difference. If I never listened to you, I would have never really evaluated my behavior. That's the good side.
Gotcha.
The not so good side is I also get the hate mail from brothers who are committed to the bunny hopping.
Gotcha.
Right? And they can be very aggressive in their repudiation of my position. I was at the airport coming from Atlanta last week, and I don't know what they be expecting, but when I see a brother with his snow bunny at the airport, it's almost as if they expect me to approach them or something. Like we going through security, the brother with the white girl, and they looking at me like they waiting for me to swing on them or something. I'm like, bro, it ain't that deep, man. Your life is your life. I still respect you as a human being.
Word.
I just don't think your selection is in the best interest of where black people need to be headed. That's all. But when I see them interracial couples, man, they look like they getting ready for war or something.
Yeah, I mean, because the things you say, they don't know what you're gonna say, what's gonna come out your mouth, if you're gonna grunt, or if you're gonna say something. So they gotta prepare themselves.
Right, but see, the essence of the message is still love, though. So even if I disagree with what you're doing, we still family at some level, and she's still a human being regardless. So, you know, sometimes they'll come up to me as a couple.
And that's a fact.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, like, that's great that he said that, because regardless whether you're in a interracial relationship or I don't want to say normal relationship, because the interracial relationship is a normal. Yeah, like, because I was trying to figure out the wording for it. But whether you're in an interracial relationship or not, you're still two human beings, and you still deserve respect, the same respect that you would give anybody else, whether or not you agree with the way that they're dating or their choice. You should never try to disrespect somebody or violate them, their personal space or their rights, because you don't agree with who they date. So I definitely agree with him, and I like the way that he articulated himself by letting people know that he doesn't agree with it, but he's not gonna violate you, or like he's not gonna disrespect you because he don't agree with the way that you date.
That's good.
Absolutely, bro.
And I'll speak to them as a couple. And they may say, well, can you explain why you don't really agree with what we're doing? And I'll do it in a very respectful tone. And I've never had an issue when we had those conversations. Right. So from where my perspective is, I'm like, yeah, I'm strong in my position, but I'm still leading with love. Right. So nobody should ever feel some type of way about seeing me in public, although they do.
I told you I was all the way in Zanzibar. I sent you the video, Dr.
Yes,
Umar. I was in Zanzibar, and a brother from Zanzibar was talking to me, and he was saying how much he liked a lot of the things Dr. Umar said, but he was like, I just don't understand his position on the snow bunnies.
It's a contradiction about how you cut the cake, because those children who are going to be black, how can you tell them be black and proud if you didn't make them with a black woman? You chose to incubate your seed in a non-African woman. How can you then turn around and raise those children to be black and proud, when if you were black and proud, you would have chose a black woman to incubate your seed in?
That's a contradiction in itself. So I can only be black and proud if I'm fucking a black woman and ejaculate inside of a black woman? if I don't do that, then I'm not black and proud?
No. Yes.
Yeah,
in Dr. Umar's words, yes. I understand where he's coming from because it's not saying that you can't love who you are and love your race, but I guess he's saying to the highest level
I can't love my race if I'm not fucking with
not necessarily. You can still love your race, but it's like if you say you love your race as much as you say you love your race, then why wouldn't you choose to date a woman who is of your race?
That's just my kids are black. Like if my kids are black,
but yes, they are to the degree of them choosing to be with someone of your race, because you can definitely wash black out. So let's say like this, right? If I'm a black man, I have a child with a white woman, that's going to be a mulatto child, half and half. Now say that mulatto child has a child with a white person, that whether it's a boy or girl, so another white person, that is gonna that 50% is now 25 or that quarter, and say like that white person, because they're gonna look, my half white child already is gonna be really light, so that child is gonna be even lighter, more passable to white. So say if they have a child with a white person, now that my dark genetics don't even look like me no more. You look like 3-4 generations down the line, and now this is a damn near pure white child.
What does that have to do with you?
I'm not saying, but what I'm saying, I'm just letting you know how that, it works. Genetics works, and that's pretty much where he's coming from. He's looking at it from a state of genetics. So if you have a black child with a black woman or a black man, then that child is going to be black. And then they have a child with another black man or black woman. That
nigga just said you not black and proud because you didn't decide to incubate with a black woman. That's what he just said. Fuck genetics. That nigga just said if you were black and proud, you would have incubated with a black woman. And that's just kind of nonsense.
I mean, I was just telling you. Well, this is how I assume that he's looking at it from.
I'm telling you what that nigga just said 3 minutes into this shit.
Not arguing with you there,
That's
buddy.
crazy.
Not arguing.
It doesn't make sense for the descendant of the slave to be planting his seed in the descendant of the slave master. Now, it's a complete contradiction.
What are your views? Has your views changed on mixed people, right? Because, people will say even if you have a drop of black blood in you, you're black.
I do the one parent rule.
Okay.
So for me, if one of your parents are black, you're black.
Okay.
Take Drake. If he identifies as black full time, he black. Okay. And that's never been an issue for us within the Pan-African movement going back to the beginning of time. We've never rejected the offspring of the Union because nobody's responsible for how they got here. And so that's why Bob Marley, there's no contradiction for us. A lot of our ancestors were mixed race. Frederick Douglass, who I'm related to, it's no contradiction because you don't choose how you come into this world, but you still have the DNA of Africa within you, but you got to identify full time. That's where it becomes an issue with our Dominican Republic brothers and sisters, Puerto Rican Africans, Cuban Africans, because sometimes they will either completely reject the African ancestry, right? Or they may say, I do have African ancestry, but I don't identify as Latino African. I'm Spanish. You see what I'm saying? Or you look at what goes on between the Dominican Republic and Haiti, that whole intense light skin, dark skin, I'm African, you ain't African type of situation. We repudiate all that. You either black all the time or you black none of the time.
People think because you have such a love for black people that for whatever reason that translates to hate for white folks.
Absolutely not, because if that were true, why do I get so many requests for help from white parents?
That's right.
Why do I get so many requests for help from Asian parents, Arab parents? They don't have a problem texting my phone saying, hey, can I pay this consultation? I need you to look at my child's psychological evaluation. I never get apprehension from white parents when they need my help on special education or mental health cases. You see what I'm saying? Right. So if it were that bad, I would assume they would not be reaching out to me. They have no issue reaching out to me. And they don't go through a filter. They come direct. Even the snow bunnies. Listen, I know how you feel about that. I need help with my son. He's a white boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. Will you help us? Pay the fee, I got you.
And if you hated them, you wouldn't offer the help.
Why would I help them at all? You see what I'm saying? And some of them buy my book too. They say, hey, I know your book is towards black families, but the information in there, we can use it too.
Do white parents ever call you and say, hey, my white son or my white daughter is into this black boy or black girl, and we want to erase them from there? Do they ever call you for that?
No, I get the opposite. I'll get the black mother who would say, Dr. Umar, my son is bunny hopping, and it looks like he has a point of no return. Can you help me out? That's what I get.
Do you have a camp? Because that'd be cool. Like, you put them
I need a camp. I need a camp. That's a good idea, though.
So what they do call
a bunny hopping recovery camp.
46. You calling Dr. Umar because your 16, 17-year-old son want to see what the white trim is like?
Yo, so you call Dr. Umar like this the super nigga. Like, like, please come and talk to my child.
My son.
Please,
a little bit better.
Just a little bit more so he'll get rid of this white woman.
Bunny Hoppers Anonymous camp. I need a camp. That's not a bad idea. That is a very good idea. You just gave me an idea.
So when they do call you, how do you break it?
Oh my God, they be upset. Like Dr. Umar, he taking a white girl to the prom, and I thought that was it. No. She's living with him in his dorm. No. They're about to move in together. No. She's pregnant now. What can I do? Dang. And the first thing I say to the black mother is, are you sure you did not model love or addiction to whiteness before your son? Because many of these mothers who have an issue with their son with the white girl got blonde hair, blonde weave. You see what I'm saying? The green contacts. Like, I'm looking at how you present yourself. You look like you're trying to be a white girl. So if the mother is imitating whiteness, why wouldn't the son be attracted to it? Because your first love affair is with your mother, not sexually, psychosocially. So therefore, if I see my mother imitating white women, are you not indirectly through your behavior suggesting that I date white females? So I think a lot of black mothers have to really check themselves with regard to how they're modeling the fact that they believe within themselves as a woman that white women are more attractive.
Man, I want to ask you something Columbus Short said since we talking about that. Sure. He said he got some heat for saying that black men are dating outside their race because most black women are raised by single mothers and absentee fathers and taught a don't need a man mentality. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's what I would say to my brother Columbus Short, and I'm a fan of his. Are we not all victims of the systemic oppression and injustice that racism has introduced into our community? So just as you have black women who didn't grow up with their father, you have black men who didn't grow up with their fathers or their mothers. In other words, why is it acceptable for the black man raised by a black woman without his dad to reject a black woman raised by her mother without her dad? I think sometimes black men can be guilty of a double standard where we want a perfect offering when we ourselves are not a perfect offering. And to that point, I think black men need to recognize the fact that one of the reasons we have so much conflict with black women is because we don't operate on a masculine platform with our women all the time. We tend to operate on a female platform. For example, when a woman gets angry, rather than you trying to understand your queen non-emotionally. See, you can't have both people in a relationship with a low emotional IQ. Because if both people in a home, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, y'all going to argue over everything because nobody says, I am not going to emote over this. I'm not going to deal with this with feelings. I'm going to use reason and intelligence. That's what the man is supposed to do. Yeah. But guess what we do? Raised by single mothers, many of us, we reflect right back to them that emotional trauma that they throwing on us. So in essence, you have two females arguing, although one is in a man's body. Black men have to start being masculine and less feminine. All this cattiness, this back and forth between.
Ooh, let me tell you something. He
spitting. That's real.
Nah, he absolutely is.
That's real.
That motherfucker.
Stop being a bitch.
And you see it all too often where a woman to start arguing, she raised her voice, and then the dude to start arguing, raise his voice. Now and it literally sounds like two females arguing. Like, and it's too often, like, you see too many men, especially black men, that's like bickering with back and forth with women. Like, you are supposed to be the man. You got to be stoic. You got to be calm and reserved in your decisions. Like, let her be the emotional one, and you be the one with reasoning and logic. And understand that is your position in life. You have to understand that you have, first of all, as a man in general, you got to think with reason and logic. Because nobody's here to save you. When shit get hard and shit get rough, it's on you. And unless you got a really solid support system around you, you're going to be fucked up. Like homeless, nobody's going to care. Because that's just the way things are, whether right or wrong. So as black men, it's even worse with us because we're starting from a lower position. So you gotta be you gotta be better.
Man up, man. Get out of your feelings. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you not to have feelings because you're a fucking human being, but just know how to use your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Just because she's being loud and aggressive doesn't mean you need to be loud and aggressive. You need to think, why is my partner being loud and aggressive? And you need to approach your partner in a very calm manner and de-escalate the situation if you're in a situation like that. Or get a domestic violence case. I mean, hey, it's up to you.
Black men and black women on the internet, that is feminine and feminine. Masculinity don't operate like that. Masculinity wants to understand where a woman is coming from. Masculinity wants to then intervene, study himself, evaluate his behavior, and try to level up to where she needs him to be. But arguing back and forth with women as a man, that's anti-masculine behavior. What we really need is some testosterone shots. We need more testosterone because black men are mimicking female behavior emotionally, and they're not even recognizing it.
I know a lot of women who have high emotional IQs who don't get caught up in the petty back and forth.
Yes, sir.
Either.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But normally, more often than not, it's supposed to be the male. Sometimes the woman does have that, which is good, but that also speaks to the fact that the women are becoming more masculinized and the men are becoming more effeminized, not in terms of sexuality, but in terms of personality, the way that we are engaging each other. And the back and forth male-female thing, if we want to get real basic about it, you're dealing with two traumatized people who have not healed themselves, and now they're trying to make a healthy relationship. Two unhappy people cannot make a healthy relationship. It is impossible. You cannot get water from oil. You can't get oil from water. If she's traumatized because her father abandoned her and he's traumatized because his mother chose her second husband over him, you got to deal with those unmet childhood issues. Most of us are still dealing with unmet childhood issues, and we're given the responsibility to our partner to heal us from demons that can only be healed with our parents. My wife can't undo what my mama did. I got to work with my mama. Your husband can't undo what your daddy did. You got to work with your husband, but because we don't want to go back into the pain, because we've often eliminated those people from our lives, we just say, you know what, I'm going to have to work on this with my husband. I'm going to have to work on this with my wife. They can be a support for you, but they can't be the solution. We have too many spiritual vampires floating around the black community. These are emotionally toxic people who don't present themselves as they are to the opposite sex. They present their social self, their psychological mask, and you don't realize who they really are, Envy and Charlemagne, until somebody gets pregnant, y'all move in together, get married, or get engaged. The whole time y'all were dating, it was perfect. You say, I've been dating my queen for 10 years. We never had an issue. Get married, divorced in 6 months. You know why? Because once y'all moved in that house together, your ego no longer wants to lie to her, Envy. Your ego no longer wants to lie to her, Charlemagne, and her ego doesn't want to lie to you. So now you start seeing things that you never saw 10, 20 years when y'all were dating, because in close proximity, the ego drops its mask.
Damn. Dr. Umar ain't playing today.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. There's a lot of things to talk about. Do you think President Biden should step down?
Do I think President Biden should step down? I got a couple answers to that. On the one end, presidents don't make the final decisions anyway. So because they are puppets, it really wouldn't matter if he stepped down or not. However, from an optics perspective, his showing against Donald Trump in that debate didn't look good at all, even though they only 3 years apart, right? On the flip side, I'm not too sure the Democratic Party is ready to anoint Kamala Harris as quote-unquote commander-in-chief, because as you know, in the post-Barack Obama era, the last thing poor white America wants to see is another black person as commander-in-chief. So I don't think they necessarily want to go that route. They don't have to. There's others as well. But at the end of the day, both men are extremely up there in age, because I don't want to be a senior shamer, if you would, right? Because seniors are just as capable intellectually, many of them.
What you think about that?
I agree. You know, we don't. It don't really matter. But for them to be 3 years apart,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that shit is like night and day.
Like legitimately. But who's not to say Trump's not fucked up?
No, I'm not saying like. Yeah, well, of course. Like, I'm not saying that he's not or he wouldn't be. Yeah. But yo, that shit's like night and day, bro.
Yeah, like, that was a bad debate.
That shit's like that shit's like night and day. Hey, man, listen. I agree with it as well. I don't think, but like you said, do you think Kamala Harris?
America's not ready for a woman or a black person to run this country.
A black woman at that? Yeah. I don't. You know, I don't view her as a black woman.
You view her as a biracial woman?
Nah, she be all in the camera like I'm Indian, or like she was something else in her. Yeah, cause she be out here trying to have hot sauce in her pocketbook and shit. Like, fuck out of here. Yeah, like, bitch. But I'm sorry. Let's get back into the
as those of us in our age bracket. At the same time, they're still the two oldest men to ever run and rerun for president of the United States. But you know what? Doesn't that also speak to the weaknesses in both parties?
That's right.
If Joe Biden is the best the Democratic National Committee has, if Donald Trump is the best the Republican National Committee has, what is that saying about the talent y'all incubating?
That's right.
So what do you think about, blacks loving Donald Trump so much, shaking his hand, kissing his hand, rubbing his back, saying we support him? What do you think about that?
Slave master syndrome, white Jesus syndrome. We don't care if the white Jesus wears red or blue. We don't care what side of the aisle that they're on. Black America suffers from battered spouse syndrome envy. And what battered spouse syndrome speaks to is the fact that no matter how bad you beat me up, if I believe I need you in order to survive, I'm never going anywhere. And part of our problem, part of the equation to our problem as American Africans, why we don't do anything on our own, is we are often waiting for the great white savior to come. This is a message that has been rehearsed for us in church. We get it in the media. We get it in the black community. So black people will never, ever abandon their hope of a white savior coming to save them. Donald Trump has no record whatsoever of saving black folks. When people ask me, who you going to vote for? At this point, neither one of them are going to get my vote. I considered Cornel West because I love Dr. West. Intelligent, strong, good-natured, but he's a bunny hopper, so he can't get my vote. Now, when I come back to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I look at the fact that Donald Trump signed 13 federal death executions while he was president. More than half of them was signed after Joe Biden won the election. Think about that now. Biden gets elected in November, sworn in January. Between that time, Donald Trump executes half of those 13 people. 5 of them were black men, and 2 of those black men were presumed innocent, and their attorneys had introduced a stay of execution to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court turned them down, and Donald Trump executed those brothers. So when I hear black men say, I'm voting for Donald Trump because he's going to bring more money and economic vitality into the black community, I say, what about the fact that he's out here killing black folks, you understand, without no remorse at all? Signing those type of federal death warrants. 2 brothers was murdered within 24 hours of each other. One of them was 40 years old, and he was the first person to be murdered in 70 years for a crime he committed as a teenager. And in one of those cases, about 6 of the jurors said they would have changed their decision on the death sentence had they knew the information that the prosecution had withheld from them. That's why the attorney wanted to stay of execution to give the defense time to reformulate an argument. In Supreme Court, Snow Bunny, Clarence Thomas and that crew said no, and Donald Trump signed his life away. So you got to look at that. You also got to look at the fact that Donald Trump wants to give police 100% immunity.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Look how they killing us now. Right. So now you're telling me that anything the police do in their line of duty, they cannot be held accountable for making bad mistakes and bad decisions, and you want to put that back in office? That's thirsty black men.
What you think about this video, bro?
Oh, man. My man, Dr. Umar, has done it again, dropping real fucking knowledge. Like, y'all understand, man. This man just dropped some real knowledge. He probably charges like a fee of like $300. To drop the shit he just dropped.
And you gotta put it in his hand.
And you gotta put that shit in his hand. No Cash App. The fuck? You think this is, bitch?
You think this is, ho?
Yo. Nah, this was a great video, man. I think it's just as good as Dr. Umar Loves Everybody.
Facts.
And if y'all haven't seen that, that'll definitely be somewhere around here.
Yes.
Please, man. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, nah, it's great. Listen, we'll put the link for the full video in the description. And, man, listen.
Stop bunny hopping.
That's don't be bunny hopping out here, as Dr. Umar would say, man. And peace and Pan-Africanism, as he would say. But I'm an FBA, so I fucks with it. Either way, like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know how y'all day going. You know, chop it up. We're going to create a Discord soon, but not yet. Not yet.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. We got to make sure y'all want it.
Yup.
But until then, what's that saying, bro?
Stay black, don't bunny hop.
Catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Without you, hush. I have visions of your touch. I got lust for life for us. So replace the lies with trust. Call up Nano, that's your brother. Tell him favor me or hate it. I done snatch your sister up. And we going on vacation.